It's one of the rarest titles in the world. That's why there's only one in every 6.2 million people. Can you imagine how hard it is to become Grandmaster? Could you make it if you tried? Stick around to find out. There are 4 prestigious titles, each with its own rating requirement, starting at 2200. Achieve that rating just once and you hold that title for life. But becoming an international master or a grandmaster, that's a whole new challenge. These titles demand not just a high rating, but also achieving 3 exceptional performances known as norms. Ever since I was a child, I dreamed of becoming a grandmaster. I spent countless hours studying puzzles, analyzing with computers, learning from coaches, and playing chess non-stop. By age 14, I earned the title of FIDE Master, and at 16, I achieved International Master. But soon after, I hit a plateau and couldn't quite reach the Grandmaster title, despite being painfully close. Eventually, I had to put that dream aside to focus on my career. Now I'm 29 years old, reflecting on broken dreams. So how hard is it to actually get Grandmaster? Currently, there are only 1,314 active Grandmasters in the world. For perspective, Forbes lists 2,781 billionaires globally. That makes international masters like me rarer than billionaires, though I definitely choose a yacht over a chessboard. You might wonder why candidate masters are so rare. Many players skip the CM title as it's not highly regarded in the professional scene, often jokingly called crap master. Yet, achieving a 2,200 rating is impressive, placing you among the top 8,000 players in the world. So, we need to reach a 2,500 rating. Shouldn't be too difficult if you just keep improving and playing, right? Haha, and pigs might fly. The reality is, gaining rating points becomes exponentially harder as you climb the ranks. The margin for error becomes minuscule. For instance, when you first start playing chess, it's common to come back from losing positions, even when you're down multiple pieces. On the other hand, at 2,400, opponents will pack their bags and go home if they lose just a pawn, because they know the game is essentially over. Due to the rating system, it's much harder to gain ELO and far easier to lose it at higher levels. To increase my rating from 2436 to 2500, I need to beat a 2500 rated Grandmaster 11 times, gaining just 6 points each win. However, one poor game against a 2200 player would set me back minus 8 points. You're trying to fill a bucket with a hole, drop by drop, and if you tilt to have a bad tournament, the entire bucket gets kicked over. That's why there are fewer and fewer masters as you advance. Getting a 2,500 rating requires consistently playing at a world-class level. But what makes it even harder is the additional requirement of making 3 Grandmaster norms. Essentially, to achieve a norm, you must perform at a 2,600 level in an international tournament with strict requirements to ensure your opponents are strong enough. You can't just waltz into your local chess club and get a GM norm by beating casuals. Closed invitation-only tournaments are a great way to ensure you meet these requirements. For example, here's a 10-player all-play-all tournament I played in 2013 with a chance for a norm. The average rating was 2400, so to perform at a 2600 level, I needed to score 7 out of 9. 3 of the 9 players were Grandmasters, all 9 players were Masters. Note the disrespect for candidate Masters, it's a tough crowd. And we met the country requirements with players from England, Croatia, Canada, Serbia, and the US. Competing in the right tournament is tricky enough, but the real challenge is scoring 7 out of 9 against this field. There are no easy games. I played out of my mind, setting the board on fire with crazy sacrifices and ruthless tactics. With 2 rounds left, I had 5.5 points, so I needed a win and a draw to secure the norm. I carried on playing my aggressive style, launching a storm of pawns, but my opponent defended well, and we got to this position, where my attack seems harmless. Here, if I retreat my knight, the position falls to pieces, as I lose my pawn on e4 and my attack is going nowhere. That would be the end of my GM norm. But I'd planned a fantastic sacrifice, ignoring the attack on my knight and attacking him instead. He can't take the pawn, because at the end, I've diverted the bishop away from defending this weakness on d6, and now I instead sacrifice the knight like this. And I'm attacking the queen, and also the pawn on d6. After he moves the queen and I take on d6, I fork the king and the rook, and I end up winning material. So, my opponent grabbed the knight. I take the g7 pawn with an intermediate threat of taking the rook with check, making a queen. So he needs to deal with that, and then I recapture this big pawn on d4. In this crazy position, I'm down a piece for 2 pawns, but with the initiative. And then he found this genius defense. The thing is, if he can trade queens and slow down the position, he'll be able to mop up my pawns and get an easy win. He's got knight e6 and coming to take this pawn, for example. But that's when I hit him with the beautiful queen f5. I'll let you trade queens, but if you do, my pawns are coming for you. He has to stop f6, so he sacrifices back to play f6 himself. But now I just need to keep attacking him whilst he's dealing with my big pawns to finish him off. And here I get my piece back, and I'm an exchange and a pawn up, or 2 pawns up, so he resigns. With a solid draw in the last round, I made my first ever Grandmaster norm. Not only did I have to play exceptionally well, but I also had some good luck to scrape the 7 points. Against the experienced English Grandmaster, Danny Gormally, he completely outplayed me, but somehow through the chaos I managed to steal the win. All 3 of the Grandmasters only scored 5.5 out of 9, so they wouldn't have made norms themselves despite being Grandmasters. I've only been able to replicate a 2600 performance one more time, despite playing many more tournaments, so I currently have 2 out of 3 norms needed. You've got to catch lightning in a bottle 3 times. Players who are super consistent might hit a 2500 rating, but they struggle to get the norms, which require you to perform another 100 points above the Grandmaster level. It's like finally mastering a tricky dance move, only to find out you need to nail it while juggling flaming torches. On the other hand, playing with a more risky style might get the Grandmaster norms with a bit of luck if they play enough tournaments, but those players might never hit 2500 rating. We've established it's pretty hard to get Grandmaster, but that hasn't answered the question, could you make it? Now, my other passion is basketball, and I've dreamt of playing in the NBA too, but the reality is I'm 5'10" with a 20-inch jump, so yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. The beautiful thing about chess is that, in theory, anybody with a good brain could make it. You don't need to be in peak physical form or at a certain age. There have been cases of players making Grandmaster at just 12 years old, and also over 50 years old. So if you're watching this video, you have a chance. Keep that hope alive. But the reality is, getting to a Grandmaster level takes years, likely decades, of dedication, resilience, and continuous learning. And not everyone has the natural talent to make it. Everyone has a max potential, which can be reached with the right training. But for the overwhelming majority of us, that potential is well below Grandmaster. If you're plateauing under 1600 online after hundreds of games, even if you could squeeze out another 500 or so rating points with the right training, you still won't be close to 2500. Sorry to burst that bubble. If you manage to hit a much higher rating, or you're just starting out and are extremely gifted, then you might have the potential to get Grandmaster. You'd still need to dedicate thousands of hours to improving your game and have a strong mentality to deal with inevitable losses and setbacks. Grandmasters are truly the creme de la creme of chess, and you won't make it there without a combination of immense talent, hard work, and mental fortitude, which most people don't have. Even with all 3, some players have spent their whole life trying and failing. I've made the decision to come back to chess and go all in for Grandmaster. Part of me is afraid I'll fail, but life is short and you miss every shot you don't take. If you're up for supporting me, remember to subscribe. Let's see if we can turn this dream into reality.